Foss?
Yeah.
She's buying a schedule.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I'm glad that she's doing buying a schedule, but she's paying back and forth.
Hey, welcome everybody. It is the Tuesday edition of Talkback and brought to you in part this morning by Ponderosa Dental, just off Reserve on 3rd. When you think of a great smile, think of Ponderosa Dental, proud corporate partner of Grizzly Athletics. Dig It Excavating, bringing 30 years of excellence to every job. Give them a call today, 214-4292, and Selway Armory on Stockyard Road with more guns and ammo than anyone at Missoula. They are Montana's premier firearms dealer.
I'm going to go see if he's here, boys. And then you can...
All right, welcome to everybody, and that's John King over there. I'm Peter Christian. We are awaiting our guests. Got caught in the rain, and they'll be here just a little bit more.
That's right. The rain does slow you down. You know, all that wind resistance and the weather.
I know.
So we do have a great guest today. Pat Williams will be coming on, former congressman. He'll tell us a little bit about his perspective on American politics. But before that, we got to tell you small business owners out there a little bit about Lindio.
Okay.
Did you know that an established business in the Missoula area is pre-qualified for a small business loan up to $250,000 through Lindio?
Well, look at that. So I don't have any money at all. So
Yeah,
I'm a small businessman.
You
so.
are very small. I think businessman might be more of a stretch. Lindio works with over 75 lenders so they can help you get the best terms available for your small business. You might own a fuel additive company that helps our guests get here faster, or maybe you're an Uber driver, or maybe you want to start a new taxi service in town. You might be able to get all the stuff you need for your small business by getting that extra cash. Lindio can help your business grow. Lindio is trusted by thousands of businesses just like yours. If you've been in business for at least 6 months and have established revenue, go to Lindio.com to get better loan options for your business. That's Lendio.com, or visit Lindio.com today. Call them at 1-800-589-LIND.
Will they lend me money if I want to run for office? I don't know if they will or not. But anyway, 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. We are expecting our guests any minute. This is a really cool new feature that we're having on Talkback. We're bringing in prominent Democrats, and because, frankly, if you have been listening to the show for any period of time, we're always inviting Democrats to come on the show, always. And some are a little shy to come on, thinking they might not be treated very well, but that's not going to be true. So,
well, I want to give a little bit of a shout out to all of our local candidates,
yes,
especially the legislative candidates who've been very good this season about coming out and doing the forums with us.
Sure.
And I think they've been really great for the public and great for the candidates, too.
Well, let's put it this way. I cannot, in all the forums we've done ever since we've started doing them, I do not remember a single complaint from someone from the Democratic Party or someone who is an independent, who is not a staunch conservative, end quote, feeling that they were treated badly on this show. So we just don't do that. Hey,
well, there he is.
Come on in.
How are you?
How are you? It's good to see you, sir.
Nice to see you.
Come on in. That's your microphone right there.
Pat Williams just walked into the studio. You can't hear him on the microphone yet, but he's saddling up right now.
Going to take the coat off, and he's got a little bit of a wet because it's raining outside.
Rained hard for
a
while.
All right.
You moved all this way to get away from the hurricanes, and it doesn't seem to have worked out. So anyway, we were talking just a little bit about how we wanted to kind of feature on Tuesdays this month conversations with Democrats about the perspective on the national elections and state elections as well as local stuff. And so as far as that box is concerned, we're going to open it wide open for you and just let you kind of go. What do you feel are the main issues this election season?
Can I take just a second?
Yeah.
I just wanted, first of all, I wanted to welcome you.
Thank you.
Because you and I spoke with you several years ago when I talked about the whole regions thing. It was a long time ago. And when this whole idea first came up, you were one of the first people I thought about.
Well, that's kind. Thanks.
Because if there's anybody that represents the Democratic Party in the state of Montana, it's Pat Williams.
And it's a tough party to represent because there are too many factions. It's not unlike the Republican Party in that regard.
Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind, for folks maybe who've just moved to Montana or don't really understand Pat Williams, give us a little, if you will, a little history of your service to the state.
Okay, quick history. I'm from Butte.
Okay, that's enough.
Which says, yeah, that's where I was going.
There you go.
Which says something about survival, I think.
Right.
My pals over there. And to cut to the chase, I got elected to the Montana legislature while I was still in Butte. I worked in Washington, D.C. for a while on Capitol Hill before I was elected, 7 years before I was elected. I did what I always do when I get away from Montana. It's not long before I come back. I can't stand being away very long. So I was back for 7 years after being a staff person on Capitol Hill. And then a seat opened up when Max Baucus, who was our congressman, ran for the U.S. Senate. And I decided to run for the House. I was successful, and I served 9 terms, 18 years.
Wow.
I was on the Budget Committee, the Education Committee, Labor Committee. And I'll tell you, I guess people today, maybe forever, have thought that being in Congress is an easy job. It's not an easy job. For example, right now they're on what almost everybody calls vacation.
Yeah, we make lots of jokes about it. Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's okay to make jokes about Congress. We've been doing that since before Will Rogers. Will Rogers referred to Congress as America's only native criminal class. But you know what those 435 members of the House are doing, and those 100 senators? The vast majority of them are back home having meetings that have piled up because they haven't been able to get home often enough. But in any event, it's not an easy job, and most members work hard. So I served there for 18 years, came back here, and I've taught for 18 years now at the University of Montana.
When you served, there were 2 congressmen, right?
In the beginning, there were 2 congressmen, and then after my 7th term, 14 years. My friend Ron Marlene, Republican from eastern Montana, and I had to decide whether we were going to leave the Congress or run against each other, because Congress was going from, in Montana, our number of members was going from 2 to 1. And so Ron and I ran against each other in a very civil campaign.
I remember that.
Thank you.
What does that look like? I'm too young
civil
to
campaign.
remember.
You've never sat through one of those, huh? Well, Ron and I managed to do it. It was a good campaign. It was more of a referendum on, which way does Montana want to go? What kind of a state are we, and what do we want to be? Ron and I don't see each other anymore. He's down in Bozeman. I'm told he's well. I hope so.
Good. Okay, so now let's get to John's question. Actually, we're up against our first break, which is a good place to take a break, because we really want to dive into things here and hear what I know that as you watch the panoply of everything that's happening in state and national politics right now, I know you've got feelings and thoughts, and we really want to mind them if you wouldn't mind. All right.
Of course.
We're going to come right back. Also, our phone lines are open. 721-1290. The Honorable Pat Williams joining us here this morning, former congressman, and we'll be right back.
I'm going to take a picture of.
All right, we are back. This is Talk Back, and that's John King and I, Peter Christian, joining us in the studio. Pat Williams, former congressman, and we got a little bit of history, and now we get to dive into the present stuff.
Well, apparently, Pat was a participant in a civil election. This is something unheard of these days.
At least one. Yeah, at least one.
But he also served in Congress back during the Clinton administration, if I'm not incorrect.
Carter for 1 year, then Reagan, then Clinton.
And so I was kind of curious to see your perspective on Hillary Clinton and her campaign this year, which I think we can all admit has not been a very civil campaign between her and Mr. Trump. And I just kind of wanted to get your take on things, just so you know where I'm kind of sitting. I despise both of the candidates, both Hillary and Donald Trump. I think they both show a great disregard for this nation. I think that they are not very respectable in the way they've behaved with the public trust. And I'm pretty much leaning towards voting for whoever I think will be impeached first or who will die in office first, because I don't trust either of them. So
aside from that, how do you really feel?
I am open. I guess I wanted to say that to say I'm open to being convinced either way on this one.
Yes.
So yeah, I was hoping maybe you could kind of humanize at least one side of this equation for me a little bit.
Well, maybe in some way, marginally, I can humanize both sides of it, because I know both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. I must say at the beginning, I know Hillary and her husband a lot better than I know Donald, but I know them both. My history with Donald is that he invited me to come up to New York one time. I was interested in boxing reform, more safety for boxers. An interesting thing to be interested in, but I did grow up in Butte and learn to box.
Right.
So I fought when I was a kid, and so Donald Trump used to have fights in his casino, so he invited me to come up, and I got to know him a little bit. I went up a couple of times. He and I went to a fight together. We met. We had dinner together. My friendship with Hillary, and that's my friendship with Donald. My friendship with Hillary dates back just a little before then. My wife knew Hillary when Hillary was First Lady in Arkansas, and then I got to know her several years later when she was First Lady of the United States. I don't want to throw John completely off, but it does seem to me that Hillary is an honest and trustworthy person. I do think that when one gets as many charges thrown against her as the Clintons have had and as Hillary has had, some of it will stick. Some of it will just stick. But she's been investigated and reinvestigated, and nothing is stuck with regard to violation of law. Mistakes, yes.
No.
Violation of law, no.
On this one, this idea that the only reason Hillary is the center of all these maelstroms of public trust is because of the public against her. I mean, this whole thing with the emails and what she's done or not done properly when it comes to managing the national security of the country, frankly, as Secretary of State. I mean, that's not something that was just come up with out of the blue. And yes, she has been found in the wrong on that. She hasn't been prosecuted by the Justice Department, but she was found in the wrong on that.
Are you referring to the emails, John?
Among many other things, yeah. Not only the emails, but the managing of the server, the setting up the private server, the wiping of that server by a private company, settlements outside of lawsuits that didn't proceed, I mean, in other cases as well. I mean, there's a lot there that everyone knows about. And frankly, I'm not the only person that thinks this. In Florida not too long ago, there was a debate between the senatorial candidates. One of the senatorial candidates said what you said just now, that Hillary was honest and trustworthy, and the crowd laughed at her. It was mostly Democrats in the crowd. It's a public trust thing.
Yeah, I know, and I'll just repeat. I think when you get beat up for 35 years, eventually the American public begins to believe that old thing about, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. I have found Hillary to be honorable and trustworthy, and I've looked in, even as a congressman, to many of the charges against her and found them all to be usually false, but at best quarter truths. I think this is going on, and I don't accuse anybody here of this. I think that a lot of people, including a lot of my friends, have a deep, deep resentment of powerful women. I don't know what that is. I just don't know what it is. But I do think it has something to do with the way you grew up. I think it has to, and again, I'm not talking about you, John, at all. In fact, I ought to name my friends that I am talking about and see how bad I get beat up the next time I go into Alan Vic's or Charlie's. But
I married a powerful woman and have lost that fight many, many times. So.
Allow me to tell you, my mother was a drill instructor in the Marine Corps.
Oh, my.
She was not only a physically powerful woman, she stood 5 feet tall and had a brown belt in jiu-jitsu and could throw me all over the room, even as an adult.
When she said, clean up your room, what happened?
Damn right. Yes, ma'am, I jumped. So powerful women have never been a problem for me. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I'm not painting with a real broad brush here, but I do think there's more than a little of that with regard to Hillary. I remember friends of mine saying, what do you think of Hillary, Pat? And I'd say, well, I kind of like her. I mean, I've gotten to know her. And I sort of talked about her the way I talk to you guys. And they would blurt out, I will never vote for that, blink, blink, blink. Well, that has to do with something other than facts.
Are these, just to ask for reference, are these Bernie Sanders supporters
that
were upset, or are these Republicans, or are these other Democrats?
Years ago when she was running for the U.S. Senate,
okay.
I had friends in both New York and here. Of course, we didn't get to vote here, but who just, without knowing much about her, are angry, without having any proof, are negative about her. And so I think there's more to it than actual crimes or misdemeanors.
Okay, and with that, we're up against a break. We've got 4 phone lines open. If you'd like to visit with Pat Williams, he's got his headphones on. Well, you will have in a minute. 721-1290 is our number. We'd love to hear from you if you have a question or comment.
I would like to throw open the door because I know I'm not alone on this. When people out there say that Hillary is untrustworthy or dishonest, which I do say personally, and I can go point by point on why I think that. But when you say it, I want to hear why you think that. If you're one of the people out there that feels that way, bring us the case. Congressman Williams says he's checked in on it, that he has found things to distrust in that case, in that record. And I'm curious to hear what those arguments are.
Okay, phone lines are open at 721-1290. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back on Talkback. 721-1290 is the number, and let's jump right to the phones. Pat Williams, our guest this morning, former congressman here in Missoula and here in our Talkback studios. Sue, good morning. I bet this is old home week for you, right?
Well, I nearly fainted when I turned my radio on this morning. My friend Pat Williams is awesome.
There you go.
How are you, Sue?
I'm good, Pat.
All
That's
right.
part of the reason I called in is because I've been talking with different candidates like Denise Juneau and Bullock and trying to get them to come on the show because they're afraid of, I don't know what they're afraid of, but I just want you to tell them, Pat, that Peter and John don't have, horns or anything. They're very fair.
I've got hooves,
And
but I don't have horns.
There's a huge audience that would really like to hear what they have to say, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents in for that, and just really appreciate that you're on this morning.
Hey, thank you, Sue, and consider it done. I'll mention to both of them that
Awesome. That'd be
this
great.
is a good program to come on, and these guys are they're okay. Between about 8 in the morning and maybe 3 in the afternoon, and then
When the full moon hits,
you ought to see them then.
And
Howling.
Pat, not to mention, it's free time.
There you go. Free.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, Sue. As a matter of fact, we have offered all 90 minutes to all the candidates, to Ms. Juneau, to Senator Tester, to anybody who wants to come on the show. I mean, it's
Tester's doesn't have to run this year.
Yeah.
But
All
we
right.
would be happy to have him on.
let's get Mitch on. Mitch, we have a minute and a half. Quickly, what's on your mind?
Good morning, Pat.
Mitch.
You talk about Hillary's honesty. I did IT since 1983. Put out tons of servers. Most cases, I tried to use other mail servers because it's kind of a pain to administer. But I know that she did that to circumvent laws, rules, and regulations that they have for government email.
How do you know that, Mitch?
What's that?
How do you know that?
How do I know what?
Well, what you just said you knew.
Well, no one else would do that, Pat. I've
No
done
one
it
else.
for years. There's just not anybody that does what she did.
I see. Huh.
Well,
I mean,
actually, to make Mitch's points, one of the emails that came through was whether or not that the clearance or the security levels had been wiped from it. Now, this isn't something Hillary would type, but one of her aides typed. So you know that they were trying to cover up or at least get rid of the idea that the piece of information was classified before it was sent on the private server.
I wonder what she was hiding. If you guys are right, what do you think she was hiding?
I don't know.
Pat.
It doesn't
You should
really
ask her.
matter.
Your friend-
To me,
She's
it
your
doesn't
friend.
really.
Ask her.
To me,
All right, guys, thanks.
yeah, thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate the call.
So to me, it's not so much what she was hiding. I mean, obviously, it's her information. Trafficking it between herself and the federal government isn't that big of a deal. She would have had the information anyway. To me, the concern is who else got that information. One of the big things that was leaked is that the private email server company, one of the things they were trying to do, the guy at the front of it, was try to figure out how all of this information wouldn't it be exposed to everybody in the company on the back end. And furthermore, to anyone that might want to hack into that information. And it's a national security issue for me.
And we're going to take a break. We'll tab top of the hour news, another hour with Pat Williams. All 4 phone lines are open, 721-1290 or 1-800-568-5309. Talkback will continue here in just a few minutes. Okay, entering a brave new world here on Talkback this morning. We are thrilled to have with us former Congressman Pat Williams giving his perspective on what's going on in national and eventually, hopefully, state and local politics. But we've got phone calls right now. So let's get to the phones and say good morning to Jim. Jim, you're on with Congressman Williams. Go ahead.
Good morning. Do we have a good audio connection here?
You sound fine.
We sure do.
Okay, thank you. I am presently holding in my hand a little handbook developed by Liberty Guard called Hillary Rodham Clinton, A History of Scandal, Corruption, and Cronyism. And it lists all the major scandals that the Clintons have been involved with. And I remember
or accused
each one
of,
these
right?
Because,
Or accused of.
well, yeah, when you have the...
Okay.
Besides reading the whole book, I just want to ask you, what of all the stuff in that book, what do you think stands out the most?
What scares me the most was Filegate, the 900 FBI files that, quote-unquote, co-president had on her desk. She was not elected to public office. She had no clearance. And also what alarms me is three-quarters of the Clinton staff, when they entered the White House, they could not get security clearances due to drug convictions. And also, is there truth to the rumor is that when George Bush stepped into that office, there was so much pornography stashed all over the White House, it took them a year to clean it out.
All right. Well, let's ask Congressman Williams about that. So,
what do you say, Jim? Can you tell the?
Well, I just let him go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wonder if Jim can. I wonder if he can tell the difference between books that are in front of him that are fact and books that are in front of him that are fiction. The one that he has in front of him and is citing to us is almost entirely fiction. And the thing about pornography in the White House is an absolute first-class, no kidding, copper-riveted lie. And those who believe in conspiracies in America grab onto these things because it strengthens them. It's what they think is going on anyhow. Jim, tain't happening.
Okay. All right. Let's get Kevin on the line. Kevin, good morning. You're on Talkback. Hi.
Hi. The point that your partner made to this gentleman about worrying about who hacked into Hillary's emails that have all disappeared in that, it really affects, it doesn't affect me, but it makes me wonder about the security that she had when she was Secretary of State. And what really gets me is when John Kerry came out and said, oh, yeah, he made a joke. It's probable that, all kinds of people have hacked into all of the emails here. Why is he so flippant about the security of the United States of America? And why is she so flippant about the security of our country? I don't get it.
Are you talking about Mr. Kerry or about Mr. Williams?
No, I'm talking about Mr. Kerry.
Okay.
My point is, your partner there on the radio show said that he was worried about who got a hold of Hillary's emails.
Yeah, the national security interests of that material. That was my concern, yeah.
Well, I mean, but why would the current Secretary of State, in regard to Hillary's email scandal, say flippantly, oh, probably all of our emails up here have been hacked? John Kerry said that in the press. Why would he even make a joke about that?
Well,
it's crazy for the Secretary of State to make a joke about our national security.
Do you have a question for Mr. Williams?
Yeah, if Hillary feels so much umbrage about Mr. Trump not giving out his tax returns, why did her husband pardon that guy that ran away to Europe, at the end of his second term, that owed the United States Treasury $65 million just because his wife donated to their reelection campaign?
All right.
That's what gets me.
Okay. Thanks for the call, sir. So, Pat, what do you think?
Okay, Kevin, I agree. Thanks for the call. Look, I agree with you. If either the current or the former Secretary of State were flippant about emails being hacked, and yes, unfortunately, as we know, emails are being hacked. It's a fact. And they both said it. Now, I guess it's up to the listener to decide whether or not they were being flippant. I didn't hear either one of them say it, but I doubt that that either one of them believed that this is a flippant issue. On your other question about pardons, I don't know who Bill Clinton's pardoned and why, but it seems to me that your assumptions that a criminal who sort of remained a criminal got pardoned by Bill Clinton because a contribution was given, it seems to me that's a stretch and degrades the presidency.
It seems to me like this conversation would go in an endless loop because, there's a preconception, right, from both certain people and other people that either she is honest or either she's an outright liar, right? And when you come to
there's no middle ground.
When you come to the conversation with that kind of preconception, right, you can't win on the vagaries. Right. So it seems to me like we really have to, as a country, look at the things that we know for sure. We now have had FBI investigations that have shown that she did not handle the information properly. That's not John King saying that or Peter Christian or Pat Williams. That's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The Federal Bureau of Investigation granted immunity to 5 of the people they interviewed along this process. And why do you think they had to go all the way to grant immunity to someone that wasn't going to get convicted of any kind of crime because they were honest and fair and upright and all this?
Well, the immunity is simply to, once the FBI has, I'm assuming you're correct about this, John, but if you are, it would occur to me that the FBI investigates many things, and it becomes, in some cases, very public, as did these emails. The FBI found that Hillary was careless, probably because of being extraordinarily busy, but was careless, but that there was no criminal intent. They found no criminal activity and therefore didn't charge her. Why do they pardon some people, 5 of whom they had investigated earlier? Well, I assume to avoid unnecessary but continual lawsuits against those people. The FBI might feel responsible for it, being as they were so public, so they pardon them. Now, I'm not a lawyer speaking here, so I could be as wrong about that as anything.
Well, all right. During testimony, the FBI Director James Comey said the reason they had to grant them Queen for the Day immunity was so that they would tell all their secrets.
Well, you can grant immunity.
Well, if you're above board, why do you have secrets?
Right. Anyway,
well, that's a process that goes on throughout the criminal system.
Yeah, tell you what, we need to take a quick break. We have Patrick on the line, and we have 2 other lines open, and we have Patrick and Rex both waiting to visit. Arnie just dropped by, Arnie Sherman, and we're going to come right back. Go ahead, John.
Oh.
By the way, if you can't get through on the phone, you can also make your comment on our Facebook page. We'll pass that along to Pat and now Arnie and get that answered. So we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. This is Talk Back, and he's had a great show so far. And Pat Williams, we really appreciate him being with us. And now Arnie Sherman also joining us here in the studio. Scott Richmond standing there in the background. Hi, Scott.
Just here to watch.
There you go.
We literally have people walking in off the street to come on the show. And we're going to let you cut in line. Just call 721-1290 to get on the air.
Okay, we're going to
Well, I was just driving by. I tape my Sunday show later today. But I heard these guys tag teaming Pat, and I said, I have to come up here. I know Pat was he was handling his own very well, but I just thought to balance things out. Since Fox News is fair and balanced, I thought we'd have 2 against 2 here.
Arnie, I think this show has turned into a live Ask the Question because behind Arnie is a line of about 20 people. That's right. Well, just 2 of them carrying pitchforks. So I'm not.
Artie may not know this, but Pat is a boxer from Butte, so I'm sure he's had to deal with a crowd of fighters before.
Oh, yeah. All right, line 4. Now Pat's officially reached rock star status. He's already filled up all of our phone lines. So let's jump in right now and say good morning to Patrick. Patrick, you're on with Patrick. Go ahead.
Well, I love the visuals. All I can think of is the movie Airplane when they're all in line to take care of the hysteric lady.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so I got a couple things. Pat, thank you for being on the show. It truly means a lot to a lot of people that you take time out of your day to do that. So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Thanks, Patrick.
First thing, and while you're sitting on hold and waiting for your turn, you hear other things and you go, "Oh, I want to talk about that too." But my original call was for the illegal immigrants in the country. And my understanding is if you are here in this country illegally, that you are to be detained and deported. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that is correct because a new immigration bill has been stalled in the Senate for 4 or 5 years.
Okay. So with that said, during the DNC, the Hillary had on the stage illegal immigrants on the stage. They were undocumented, illegally here in the country, and just recently, she apparently, or at least her staff, has hired illegal immigrants, and it's been proven. You can look it up. It's not a weird, what do you call that?
Conspiracy.
One of those websites. One of those. It's not Fox News telling the story. Anyway, but hiring illegal immigrants to help push the election, get out and vote and
now,
things
Patrick,
like that.
I hate to do this to you, Patrick. We got the lines are full. Do you have a question for Pat?
So let me ask the question: Why are these people being harbored by the Clinton? The Clinton side and not being deported. Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
It baffles me.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Now, is this just a case of civil disobedience, Pat, or what?
Well, I think it's a case of millions of illegal immigrants in America, including some in Montana, who get hired by companies in Montana. What do we do with them, fellas? Patrick, what are we going to do with them? I sympathize for what you're saying, Pat. It's very difficult to overlook something that is illegal. Are we going to go find them? Where are we going to look? Okay, we're going to look in Miami. With what, a front-end loader and a machine gun on it? This is an impossible situation that's happened in this country. It's frankly not the first time it's happened.
What happened during the Eisenhower administration? Right?
Illegal immigrants have flooded in here forever. Why? Because this is the place to go if you're in trouble. If you can get here, you ought to give it a try. So we've got all these illegal immigrants here. I know they're illegal, and I know they can't vote. And there are plans to make them legal without trying to impossibly round them up and send them back. There are plans to put them through difficult hoops, including paying back taxes before they become legal.
I got to ask you, do you think that the two things you just suggested are even the least bit realistic? Because why should someone who's been able to work behind the scenes and get paid and bring their families in, all under the legal radar, why would they want to do that if they're already... And especially if they've had children here, their children are automatically American citizens. Why would they want to go through all that just to have to pay maybe thousands and thousands of dollars in back taxes?
I have the same question myself, Peter. I don't know how good it'd be, but it is a proposed solution.
Sure.
Now, will nobody want to become a United States citizen? No. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, millions maybe over the top, would want to become a United States citizen. And the leaders of these groups that survey the immigrants say, yes, most of these people want to become legal. But I'm with you. I mean, who'd walk in and volunteer, right?
So the argument that people pair this with is stricter enforcement during the time that you have this permission. So you carrot and stick the situation by saying, hey, you better get up, you better be legal, otherwise you've got to get out. And one of the ways that we could do this is by passing E-Verify, a system where you have to verify someone's nationality or citizenship in the United States before you hire them. Right now, if a company like Town Square Media were to hire an illegal alien like Hillary did for her campaign, we could get in trouble. We get fined. And it's just like this. Hillary's campaign gets away with doing stuff other people can't because she's Hillary Clinton, and people have a problem with that.
We're going to come right back, and we have one line open. We have Rex, Ted, and Louise, and we'd love to have you at 721-1290. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay, we are back on Talkback, and all right, we're having a great show so far. Now, Arnie, you wanted to kind of shift gears a little bit. Arnie Sherman's over there, and you wanted to talk about the other presidential candidate.
There is two or more, depending on how you read the polls.
Go ahead.
we do have a situation, however, and I think everybody's agreed that you have two flawed candidates, and it's, I think, unfair to just pick on one of the flawed candidates. In fact, I think John mentioned when we were off the air that Trump also hired illegal aliens for his businesses. And some would, in fact, say that his current wife may have entered the country illegally when she came over here as a model and stayed and ran into the Donald. But I'd like to start talking about candidate Trump by reading the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic has a definition for narcissistic personality disorder, and I thought I'd just read it just to share.
I thought that was me.
Well, you probably have one of those too, and this may apply to you too. But Peter, let me just read this from the Mayo Clinic. Narcissistic personality disorder is a mental disorder in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others.
I don't know about that.
But behind this mask of ultra confidence lies a fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism.
Arnie, wait a minute now. You're talking about some of my former colleagues.
Maybe all of your former colleagues.
Not all of them,
no.
Does that maybe picture a lot of political figures, though?
Sure, but in my lifetime, which has been pretty long. I mean, the first president I voted for was Jimmy Carter, but I've never seen a presidential debate where the candidate goes out and attacks somebody like Rosie O'Donnell in the middle of a presidential debate because of something she said about him, a year ago. I mean, that is unheard of. Most of the things that you hear Donald say, or if you follow his emails or his text message or his tweets or any of these kinds of things, are kind of vitriolic attacks on any person who may say anything critical about him. And part of this definition, of course, is that you kind of blame others for the things that you yourself suffer from. And in his case, he talks about Hillary not having the temperament to be president. This guy has one of the worst temperaments I've ever seen, public or not public official.
Actually, you want to play that clip? I think it's still in there, what we used for our Pavlovian test on Saturday. I think they might get a kick out of it.
We used this to give away.
Before you play it, though, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I think that if you say it's a neurological disorder, I actually have more sympathy for the guy. For me, it's a crisis of moral constitution. I see a lack of judgment and a lack of moral integrity in the way that he handles spits and spats that he might have. And let's be fair. I mean, Hillary doesn't come out and say these things herself, but she pays a lot of people good money to do it for her. And it's part of the campaign thing. And it is troubling to me as a person that lives in the United States to have to deal with this for my two candidates. But, when we say that there's a pox on one house and I see a pox on the other, it doesn't really help me settle the equation much. I really need to hear why someone would be good for the campaign, why someone would be good for the United States, not necessarily why the other guy is so horrible or the other gal is so bad.
Well, here you go. Let's. This is what we put together to give away some Grizz tickets just the other day.
I'm really rich. I've been successful in every business I've been in. I have a very strong temperament. It's a very good temperament, and it's a very in-control temperament. I beat China all the time. I'm the one that made all of the right predictions. I'm proud of my net worth. I've done an amazing job. Nobody can do that like me. Believe me. I'm not doing that to brag, because you know what? I don't have to brag. I don't have to. Putin did call me a genius, and he said I'm the future of the Republican Party. So.
Hi, Donald Trump. I'm a totally gifted politician. I'm a gifted politician.
Okay, so there you go. I think people are only calling in for tickets now.
Yeah, right, exactly.
All right, let's get back to the phones, because folks have been waiting a while. Rex, you're on Talkback. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Pat, real quick. I just wanted to touch on something that you brought up at the beginning of the show, just because it heavily resonated with me, and that was the idea that men have a subconscious, not necessarily hatred, but disdain for women.
I think it's fear. I think it's fear.
Oh yeah, okay, fine, yeah, fears. A minor phobia of women in power, and that resonated with me so much because, I'm maybe through 2-3 years of even becoming mildly interested in politics, and I remember being probably 12 years old to mid-teens, having just like a not good feeling about Hillary Clinton. She literally epitomizes every grumpy, authoritative, principal, teacher, just crazy aunt that I have. Like every time I'm around her, I'm like, "You are Hillary Clinton, my aunt." She like I don't know. It could be my dad influencing it too a little bit.
So real quick, what's your question for Pat?
I don't have one. I just wanted to say thank you for touching on that, because I'm going to look into it for myself.
Peter, I just want to add something. When Shirley Chisholm in 1972,
I remember that,
ran for president of the United States. She was a black congressman from the state of New York. She said that she found more discrimination against her in her campaign for presidency for being a woman than for being Afro-American.
Okay, let's move right along. What time we got? Okay, we got time for one more before we take a break. And this is Ted. Ted, good morning. You need to turn the radio down. Okay,
Sorry.
Ted, you're on with Pat Williams. Go ahead.
Good morning, Pat. Thank you for taking my question. I would like to agree with you. I think Hillary Clinton is very honest with her emails, and I think she's very trustworthy with her classified information. What does bother me is that she's so deathly ill. All the fainting and falling flat on her face, the coughing and the twitching, the eye movement, and she's barely alive. I mean, do you think that disqualifies her from being president of the United States?
Okay. Real quick question. I want to ask you how you. I was curious how he felt after watching the debate, because I thought she looked pretty vigorous during the debate. Go ahead, Pat.
Pat, what do you think?
Well, Ted, thanks. I appreciate your understanding of honesty. When you see a person again and again and again, you can make that sort of a judgment. If I thought you were right, if I thought Hillary was going through all those kind of health difficulties, then I would agree with you that probably she should not have run for president. But the Hillary I know is smart, is kind, is healthy, really healthy, seriously. She had bad vision for a while that time after she fell, but her doctor's not lying. Her doctor gave her a clean bill of health. We're still waiting for Trump's.
Have we actually seen her full medical records? I don't believe we have.
Well, we haven't seen anybody's full medical records.
We only saw a statement after she fell down for like the 6th time in 5 years.
My recollection, John, I think I'm right about this, is that not long ago, Hillary followed, or perhaps was just in front of Trump in releasing the results of her examination, her recent examination, which is what presidential candidates do.
Okay, and we're up against a break. We're going to come right back. Pat Williams, our guest, Arnie Sherman also joining us here this morning. John King, I'm Peter Christian, and we have Louise, Lana, and Marilyn. So we're going to hear from the ladies when we come back. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back on Talkback. 721-1290 is the number. How are we doing on Facebook there, John?
We have, it was acting up funny, and now we're buried. I have like 20, at least 10 comments on Facebook.
Okay.
But, we're going to prefer callers over Facebook commenters. I'll try to get them in later after my Facebook reloads. So.
Okay, so let's get back to the phones, and I believe Louise is next. Louise, hi, you're on Talkback with Congressman Pat Williams. Hi.
Thank you, boys. I would like to ask Mr. Williams. He is so sure that Hillary is got a clean bill of health and a clean, the FBI wiped the slate clean too. But I would like to ask him, if he knows so much about this, can he tell us who promoted the lie about Benghazi? Was it Hillary or the President of the United States?
Okay. Thanks for the call. So the whole thing about the video and all that jazz.
I don't want to just leave it as an either or. If you want to answer both, you can.
What was the other one?
The President of the United States or Hillary.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't answer that. I've never seen the video. I know there's an issue there, but I have to claim ignorance on that one because I just haven't followed it.
Hey. Well, I would say you can read the emails now. Hillary's emails have been disclosed.
Yeah.
And why she was telling the public that it was a video, she was telling her daughter that it wasn't. How do you feel about that?
I think probably she was telling her daughter a bedtime story. I don't know.
Well, she told that same bedtime story to the diplomats in Saudi Arabia as well. She was telling us one thing and other people others.
And she lied because of why? I mean, that has to be the test. It's certainly the test for juries. Why did somebody to this. And if there's no why to it, you have trouble convicting them.
Well, if you think that it's okay to tell the public a lie because you think
No,
it's
I
in
don't
their
think
best
it's okay.
interest,
I never
that's-
said that.
Okay, well then why do you think it is? I think it's a problem just that she lied. That's enough for me to be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know that. See, that's my problem is I don't know
All you have to
about
do
this
is
issue to know if she lied.
Well, you can read the emails. They're out there.
After the program.
All right.
Yeah.
We're all learning something new here
Yeah,
today,
right,
here
right.
at Ding Dong School. Okay, let's get Lana on the line. Lana, thanks for holding. You're on Talkback. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
I just wanted to say I realize that Trump is not politically correct. But, you know...
He's the poster boy for political incorrectness.
Yes. But, you know, it's a little refreshing because I'd rather have somebody tell me, right to my face, how they feel than to lie to me and then say what they think I want to hear, but then go right ahead and do something very opposite.
Okay.
So politically correct needs to go.
Okay, thanks for the call. So, Pat, what do you think?
Okay, Lana, thanks. I'll tell you what I think has to go in politics. Crudeness, demagoguery, disparaging comments about women, mean-spirited candidates who voice their ugliest thoughts. I think the Donald Trumps have to go in politics.
Okay.
What I'd like to add to that also is the fact that it is not just saying what you really think or speaking your mind or being politically incorrect or politically correct. In his particular case, whatever he says, he generally the next day he says something opposite. You know, so what is this honesty, you know, this refreshingness about Donald Trump? He's a pathological liar. He has mental problems, for sure.
Arnie, let me interrupt to say this. I have friends who say, at last somebody says what I've been thinking. Then I put that person down as crude, disparaging, and
Right.
mean-spirited. I didn't know that about him, but apparently they were harboring all that.
I think the point really is, though, this refreshingness about what he really thinks is not true, because what he really thinks, he changes all the time.
Well, that's true.
I mean, you know, he says, for example, that China caused, you know, climate change. I mean, you have him orally saying it, you have him in writing saying it, tweets saying it, and in the debate he said, I never said that. He's like the pathological liar from Saturday Night Live. I never said that. Why would you think I said that? You know, and you have it in writing, and he just denies it. I mean, it's a classic textbook case of you know, delusion and paranoia.
All right, and with that, go ahead, John. We're up against a break. So.
I mean, I would just counter that. One of the reasons I like Hillary Clinton is because she was a supporter of TPP, which she's not anymore. So I don't know what to think on that front, but I mean, she's been known to switch her opinions as well. It's part of politics in America these days.
Yeah, we'll
have to do it.
We'll be right back. And we have 3 lines open now, surprisingly enough. Marilyn, you are up next, and you'll be first in line. Okay, we are back on Talkback. 721-1290 is the number. A special day today. Congressman Pat Williams joining us, also Arnie Sherman. I'm Peter Christian. That's John King. You have a Facebook comment.
Well, we might have a convert out of Mitch. Mitch says, here is why I've decided to stop supporting Trump. Back in 2011, Haiti suffered a massive earthquake. Donald Trump went down there and promptly steered all of the reconstruction bids to his business friends. Those friends underdelivered, pocketed the difference, and left Haiti further in debt. That money is now financing Donald Trump's political ambitions. I can't support someone so selfish and greedy that they would steal from starving and desperate people. Just kidding. That was Hillary Clinton. Trump, 2016.
Okay. Let's get Marilyn on the line. Marilyn, you're on Talkback. Hi.
That's so
That was a good one.
What's up?
Okay, that was a good one. Okay.
And wrong.
Yeah, right.
As Trump would say, wrong.
Right. Okay,
Go ahead, Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn.
Good morning. There's been plenty of books written about Hillary Clinton, and even from the perspective of Secret Service and military people, and on her fitness and how she treats them and staff and employees and et cetera. So I have a quote here. You say you know Hillary pretty good. She did a speech at the Women's World Summit, and here's a quote. laws have to be backed up with resources and political will, and deep-seated religious beliefs have to be changed. So do you think that was a lie, or can you tell me what you think she meant by that? I know you've had your qualms with the religious right. I remember an op-ed that you did years ago. I saved it. Even though I'm a Republican with a good memory, I have to sometimes save some things that stand out as, pretty awful to me. So anyways, maybe you can you tell me what she meant by that quote?
Okay, thanks, Marilyn. Appreciate the call. Go ahead, Pat.
No, I can't. I don't know what she means by changing people's, if this is what she said, changing people's religious beliefs. I certainly don't support people in government wanting to move to change people's religious beliefs. And I don't think that Hillary, in fact, I'm pretty sure, having visited with Hillary a lot about religious matters, and government interfering in those matters, I don't think Hillary meant that if she said it the way you think she did.
Okay. Let's move along. And Emmett's up next. Emmett, you're on Talkback. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. Well, Marilyn really just hit it absolutely right, and thankfully I'm very happy, knocked a lot of what I wanted to say out of the ballpark, so I'm kind of happy about that. I'd rather now I can talk about the emails. Even the Attorney General said that, some bad things happened with the emails. A lot of them were lost. It could have been criminal, but the intent wasn't there. To me, it just clearly she lied about the emails. Second of all, as far as her wonderful, happy temperament, that she's kind, she's caring, well, do you remember when they tried to humanize her by having her eat at Chipotle, and they photographed it? She wasn't smiling and happy. She was angry. She was mean-looking. She wouldn't tip, and she couldn't wait to get out of there. She couldn't stand to be with an ordinary person like
Emmett, maybe she just didn't like the food.
That might have been when that Chipotle virus was going around. Maybe this answers so many questions.
So go ahead. I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
so basically, that's pretty much, and of course I've read her book, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child, which is very disturbing. It was more of, let's have the government raise our children for us, and a lot of, take a lot of kids out of their homes. It was just very disturbing. So
okay, Emmett,
I really
quick,
about, Hillary. I'm a Trump supporter, by the way, and I think he's the most qualified, but we don't have time to get that.
Really quick. What is your question for Congressman Williams?
Given all this, especially just all this piling, why does the congressman still think, even though he's that Hillary is trustworthy and kind and caring and only has your best interests at heart and even does good umbrella drinks, when everything seems to be contrary to all of that I have seen? We're seeing two different Hillarys,
We really are seeing two different Hillarys.
Thanks,
in
Emmett.
fact, one of the difficult things for me about this campaign is that Americans politically live in two different silos. Emmett, you and I live in a different silo. And I don't read because I don't even see the stuff you've read, and you don't see the stuff I've read. You watch Fox, and I watch 5 other channels. We have become different people in America because of that, Emmett, and it's not good. So I've tried to understand Donald Trump a little better simply because I know him, had dinner with him, went to a prize fight with him. I've tried to understand him a little better. I haven't been very successful at it because I do think he's an egotist, and the people that were with me at the dinner all agreed. But let me say this with regard to her book that was, as you recall, a bestseller. I read it, and as further proof of how Americans have become siloed, and I put myself in this case too. I did not read what you read in that book. I didn't read a move toward communism, if that's what you're saying. I didn't read that the government was going to take it over. The Greeks had a good saying for this, Emmett. The ancient Greeks had carved over one of their temples, "We see things not as they are, but as we are." And maybe that's our problem in this country. People who are like Trump, like him. People who are like Hillary and her policies, like her. and we don't mix understandings of the other side the way we should.
Let me back off of your dichotomy here real quick, because I don't like either of these candidates. And I really wanted to, during this discussion, give you the opportunity to tell us 3 reasons why you think Hillary would be great for America.
Tell you what, can we wait 1 minute?
Sure.
Yeah.
We got to take a 1 minute time out. This is our last break, and we also have Rocky and James. We'll try to get everybody taken care of in the next 8 minutes. So we'll be right back.
You know what
Okay, we are back. Even Pat Williams is grooving to the tunes, folks. All right, let's have you answer John's question. The three reasons why you believe that Hillary would be a better president, say, than Donald Trump.
All right, the first reason is the most important to me, and that is that several historians have noted, and I'm sorry not to be able to tell you their names because then I'll be accused of lying, but several historians have noted that she will be the most experienced president since John Quincy Adams. Hillary has extraordinary experience, 1. Number 2, trust me on this, whether you like her or you don't like her, she's brilliant. When she hears something, she remembers it 5 years from now. She can recite passages from books she read long ago. She is brilliant. I think she has the insightful, and the third thing is I think Hillary has the insightfulness, of course, as a woman. And it is that insightfulness, and every married guy out there knows what I'm talking about, or almost everyone. The women have an insightfulness that guys don't have. And America should be ashamed that we don't elect more women than we do to public office. Now, this is coming from a guy who, when asked years ago, Pat, how do we change the Congress? I would say elect more women.
Okay.
And I still think that's right.
Let's get Rocky on. Rocky, thanks for holding. You're on with Pat Williams. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just have 2 questions for the congressman. I kind of share John's feelings on the 2 candidates, so I'd like to know his opinion on who would be the better president, his opinion, between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. And my second question is, what's his opinion on whether American sovereignty and liberty grew or decreased under President Obama?
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call. So 2 quick questions, Pat.
Good questions, Rocky. Thanks. I think Cruz would be a better president than Trump. He wouldn't be very well liked, I'm told, by people that serve with him in the Senate because he doesn't have any pals there. And they don't think he's very trustworthy. But he understands government, and Donald Trump does not. By the way, I'm not sure Donald Trump understands business either. I mean, $900 million he lost at gambling casinos. You ever heard of Las Vegas? It's a little hard to lose money at gambling casinos.
So the other side of that issue is Hillary obviously knows business very well, but her only business has been public office, and she's made millions on it.
She's not a businessman. Her experience
she's made millions off of her public office.
No, she's made millions off of investments and speeches. Look, George Bush gets what Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton get when they gives a speech.
So
when I came
George
home,
Bush
people would offer me $2,000 a speech around the country. Did I do it? No, because I'm tired of traveling. But elected officials can't take money that way, but former officials can. And let me tell you, folks, they all do. The only one you think's doing it is Hillary Clinton. That's simply ignorant. That's not true.
Okay, we got about 3 minutes left in the show. So, James, you're up. What's on your mind?
Hey, Congressman Williams, it's nice to hear an intelligent argument on the other side. I'm with John. I don't like either candidate, but I have a comment and then a question. So in response
quickly.
Yeah, in response to the 3 things that you said about Hillary, why she'd make a good president, my concern is, and this can be applied to both candidates, that those features, those good qualities, turn into divisiveness when integrity is in question. And it's been my experience in life that the people defending themselves constantly against lies are usually the ones telling the lies and lacking the integrity, not the other way around, which presents a problem for both candidates in this election. So my question is, as a congressman, someone who's been in the political world, and I'm not in it, I've studied it, and chosen not to go into it, but I have a master's degree in political science still, changed my mind.
Okay, what's your question?
My question is, what do we need to do as citizens to start getting options for candidates that have integrity? How do we actually make that happen?
All right, that's a good question. So we have 2 minutes. Go.
Don't vote for the ones that you don't think have integrity. Now, don't guess at it. Don't assume it because of their posture. But if you really have found out via the facts that they've lied to you, like during the debates, there's not a hell of a lot of integrity in that. So quit voting for them. Now, I also want to say, because we didn't get to it, Rocky's question about American sovereignty, I sense Rocky won't agree with this, but I think the president has lifted the idea of America and our sovereignty around the world. There are countries that now know about America because we have a black president, and countries in Africa that never came on board before. Countries in sections of part of Asia with people of different colored skin than white are on board now with America. They're listening to America. So I think he's improved our lot.
How do you respond to the charge that President Obama has weakened America's stance in that, for instance, the red line in Syria, the various,
Right.
bowing and scraping with the various world leaders and not representing America with strength?
Well, I'm a little critical of President Obama in that regard, Peter. It seems to me that his effort not to lose American lives has lengthened our problems in the Middle East, and perhaps made them worse. Who knows how bad they would have been? But remember, Barack Obama did not start those problems. George Bush attacked the wrong country in the Middle East and put tens of thousands of soldiers on the ground in what those people believe are holy lands, and that is what's created ISIS and the turmoil.
And that means we're done. We have like 20 seconds. I want to say thank you for being with us, Congressman. We appreciate it. Arnie, thanks for your contribution. We appreciate that, too.
See you soon.
All right, thanks
Peter,
so much.
thanks very much,
Hopefully
John.
we'll do it again next week. And thank you all for joining us this morning. It's been a great conversation. We appreciate all your calls. We'll talk to you tomorrow with Walt Kira.